My name is Margaret Chen, and I'm 78 years old.
I've lived a quiet life, filled with simple pleasures, gardening, Sunday church services, and weekly dinners with my granddaughter, Emily. But on the morning of Emily's wedding,
Something extraordinary happened that I still struggle to understand. It was a dream. Or perhaps
something more. The night before Emily's wedding to Thomas Bradford, I went to bed early. The rehearsal dinner had been lovely, and tomorrow promised to be perfect. Emily had chosen a beautiful venue. Her dress was exquisite, and Thomas seemed
like a decent young man. A lawyer.
successful, handsome. But that night, I dreamed of my late mother. She appeared as I remembered her from my childhood, silver hair pulled back in a soft bun, wearing her favorite floral dress, the one with burgundy and cream patterns. Her eyes held that familiar wisdom, that knowing look she always had when something important needed saying. Margaret, she said, her voice clear as a bell.
Listen carefully. Tomorrow morning, wake up early. Go to Thomas's mother's
House, Victoria Bradford's house. You need to see something. You'll understand everything once you're there.
I tried to ask her what she meant, but she simply smiled and faded away. I woke at 4:30 in the morning, my heart pounding.
The dream felt different from ordinary dreams. It felt
Urgent.
real. For an hour, I lay in bed, wrestling with myself. It was ridiculous. Drive across town at dawn to spy on my granddaughter's future mother-in-law, based on a dream, but I couldn't shake the feeling. My mother had always had instincts about people, and that look in her eyes in the dream. At 5:45, I got dressed, left a note for my husband George, and drove through the empty streets to the Bradford estate. The sun was just beginning to paint the sky with soft pinks and golds when I arrived.
The Bradford house was impressive, eh?
Large colonial with perfectly manicured lawns. I parked down the street, feeling foolish.
What was I doing here?
Then I saw Victoria Bradford's car pull into the driveway. My breath caught. Victoria wasn't alone. A man got out of the passenger side.
Not her husband, Richard. I'd met Richard at the rehearsal dinner.
This man was younger, perhaps 40.
As I watched, Victoria laughed at something he said, her hand lingering on his arm in a way that was unmistakably intimate. They went inside together. I sat there, frozen, my hands gripping the steering wheel. 20 minutes passed. 30. My mind raced through possibilities, explanations.
Maybe he was a contractor.
A family friend.
Then Victoria's husband Richard's car pulled up. He got out slowly. His shoulders slumped in a way that spoke of deep weariness. He didn't go to the front door. Instead, he walked around to the back of the house. After a moment, I quietly got out of my car and moved closer, staying behind the hedges. Richard stood at a window, looking in.
The expression on his face, I'll never forget it.
Pain.
Resignation.
The look of a man who had known betrayal for a long time and had learned to live with it. He stood there for several minutes, then walked back to his car and drove away. I remained hidden, my heart breaking for this man I barely knew. But more than that, I was thinking about Emily, about the family she was about to marry into,
about what this revealed about the Bradford household. The young man left an hour later.
Victoria kissed him goodbye at the door, casual and unashamed. In the morning light, I drove home in a daze. George was awake, worried about where I'd gone. I need to talk to Emily, I said.
Before the wedding, I found Emily in her bridal suite at the hotel, surrounded by bridesmaids and makeup artists. She looked radiant in her robe, her hair in rollers, her face glowing with happiness. "Grandma," she exclaimed, "you're here early."
"Sweetheart," I said gently, "I need to speak with you alone, just for a few minutes." Something in my tone made her pause. She asked everyone to step out. I sat beside her and took her hands.
"Emily, I need to tell you something I saw this morning. I don't know what it means for you and Thomas, but you deserve to know before you make this commitment." I told her everything.
The dream, the drive, what I witnessed. Emily's face went through a series of emotions: confusion, disbelief, and then something else.
Something that looked almost like recognition. "Victoria has been having an affair,"
she whispered. I nodded.
"for what appeared to be quite some time. Richard seems to know about it." Emily was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that surprised me. "Thomas told me his parents have a complicated arrangement. He said they stay together for appearances, for the family business."
He made it sound sophisticated. European, like it was normal. And how did that make you feel?
I asked.
I didn't think much about it then, Emily said slowly. But Grandma, there's something else.
Last month, I found text
messages on Thomas's phone from a woman named Jessica. They were
flirtatious. When I confronted him, he said it meant nothing, that his parents have taught him that marriage is about partnership and family, not about strict monogamy. He said I was being old-fashioned. My heart sank.
What did you say?
I told him I needed time to think.
He apologized, sent flowers, said he'd be faithful to me, that he was just being stupid.
I wanted to believe him. Tears started forming in her eyes. But seeing what his mother does, understanding that this is how the Bradfords view marriage. Oh, sweetheart, I said, pulling her close. I love him, Grandma.
At least, I think I do. But I don't want a marriage like that.
I want what you and Grandpa have. Real partnership, real faithfulness.
Real love. Then you know what you need to do. I said softly. The next hours were difficult.
Emily asked to speak with Thomas privately. I don't know everything they discussed, but I heard raised voices.
Thomas's mother Victoria arrived, furious, demanding to know what was happening. When she saw me, her face went pale. You, she said, you were there this morning. You were watching my house. I saw the truth, I said calmly. And Emily deserved to know what kind of family she was marrying into. How dare you? Victoria hissed.
You've ruined everything.
The deposits, the guests, the lies.
Emily interrupted, walking out in her jeans and sweater. She'd removed her wedding preparations.
I'm not marrying into a family that thinks infidelity is sophisticated. I'm not marrying someone who sees commitment as optional. Thomas
followed her out, his face anguished.
Emily, please.
We can work through this.
I love you. Do you?
Emily asked. Because love means respecting someone enough to be faithful, to build something real together.
Your family doesn't believe in that, and I'm not sure you do either. It wasn't revenge I felt, watching the wedding dissolve. It was relief, profound, overwhelming relief that Emily had escaped a marriage that would have broken her heart over and over again. The aftermath was messy. Guests had to be notified.
Deposits were lost.
There was gossip, judgment, and endless questions. But Emily held her head high.
And 2 weeks later, Richard Bradford
filed for divorce. He called me one afternoon.
Mrs. Chun, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I want to thank you. I've known about Victoria's affairs for 15 years.
I stayed because I thought it was what I was supposed to do. But watching your granddaughter choose her
own dignity, it gave me courage to choose mine. 6 months later, Emily met Daniel at a bookstore.
He was a teacher, kind and steady and completely honest.
Their courtship was slow and thoughtful.
He met every member of our family and spent time getting to know us.
There were no games, no complications.
Just genuine affection growing into genuine love. When they got engaged 2 years later, the wedding was simple and beautiful. And this time, as I watched Emily walk down the aisle, I felt only joy. The night before that wedding, I dreamed of my mother again. She was smiling. You did well, Margaret, she said. You protected her. That's what love does. It protects. I
still don't know if that first dream was truly my mother reaching out or simply my own instincts speaking through the memory of her wisdom. Perhaps it doesn't matter. What matters is that Emily is happy now, truly happy, in a marriage built on honesty and mutual respect.
What matters is that Richard found the courage to start over and has since remarried a lovely woman who treats
him with kindness. And what matters is that I learned something important that morning. Sometimes the greatest act of love is having the courage to reveal difficult truths, even when it disrupts carefully laid plans. Victoria Bradford never spoke
to me again.
Thomas married someone else within the year. Whether that marriage is happy, I don't know and don't ask. But Emily sends me photos of her life with Daniel. They have a garden together. They take evening walks. They laugh at each other's jokes and hold hands at the dinner table. That's what marriage should look like. And I'm grateful every single day that a dream, whether divine intervention or deep intuition, gave me the wisdom to act and the courage to help
my granddaughter find the love she truly deserved.